So hello, you all know me as Dylan. I graduated from Swansea College of Art in 2018, thank you. I did fine art and then studied in Bath doing graphics for 2 years before that. And then when I finished in 2018 in Swansea, I got a studio with Elysium Gallery. And I've had a studio there ever since, really. So it's a bit sort of daunting to come and speak in front of all of you because you're all quite established sort of artists. You do a lot. I think Mark isn't an artist, but it's a scientist.
We'll have a day.
But you all do a lot, and you're all like teachers. You all get involved with projects, and I don't really do that. I'm a painter, so I'm just in my studio every day, like most painters, really. So it's quite daunting to speak, really. I finished my degree in 2018. I had a year out, and then I started my master's in Swansea in 2019, which coincided with the pandemic. So yeah, it got extended, and I got to make a lot more work out of it. Yeah, and then I finished in the summer, and I had some group shows last year, one in Caernarfon. I was in 2 group shows in Manchester. I've got some solo shows coming up in England this year in a few weeks, one in Chichester and then one in Deal in Kent. So yeah, I've recently become self-employed. So I'm like a freelance sort of artist, and I started selling my work. Yeah, and I've got galleries getting in touch with me quite regularly recently, one today, about showing work and stuff. So yeah, yeah, my work is all really about the landscape and going for walks and sketching outside in various different forms. This is the work I was doing on my MA. I know it doesn't really look like the landscape, but it was sort of, it's quite hard to explain what I was trying to do here, but it's more of a sort of geological map of underground spaces, really, and trying to douse what's going on underground and just feeling everything emanating from the ground below, really. And that's like a prominent thing in my work, the sort of voices and stuff coming through the ground and floor, I think, yeah. So a lot of my ancestors, being from the South Wales valleys, were all sort of coal miners. My grandfather was a miner, and his father was a coal miner as well. So these are some coal tips where I live, which I always walk through. I'm always sort of sketching there. My sort of great grandfather helped make these coal tips up on the mountain, really. So yeah. This was early last year, I think. And it's a bit of a sort of change from this sort of work. Yeah. I think from this work, it was quite abstract, and I was thinking a lot about underground and stuff. I think what made me starting to make sort of more representational landscapes was reading Dr. Susan Owen's book, Spirit of Place, and a lot of Robert Macfarlane's sort of books, and I read that, and then that inspired me to sort of start making representational pictures of the landscape and to really sort of see the beauty and everything going on. And yeah, that was early sort of last year. So it's quite a blurry picture. This is the sort of environment. I'm out walking all the time. My lecturer in uni, Brendan Burns, sort of said his routine, he's a landscape painter, and he paints sort of paintings of the Pembrokeshire coast and the rocks and the lichen. He loves that sort of environment, but his sort of way of working is that he always said you could do a painting in a day. So that's what I try and do. I do a painting a day in the studio, and then he works in his studio 6 days a week. And then on Sunday, he goes for a big walk. And then that's just how I try and live my life, really. Yeah, so every Sunday I try and go to this sort of place. It's a sort of post-industrial landscape in the South Wales valleys. Yeah, it's just littered with mines and adits and coal tips. And it's quite sort of, there's a polluted nature to it all. Yeah. And then this is a sort of landscape from the Brecon Beacons. I started exploring that sort of landscape, the Black Mountain, last year. Yeah, horsey man. So yeah, going back to sort of like the voices coming from underground. Yeah, I don't. It's not a very. I don't know if you could see, but these are sort of coal tips then up on the hill that I'm always going to. They sort of just protrude out. I think I read somewhere there's like a few million tons of coal waste all just sitting there, and there's all sort of like orange iron oxide all still polluting the river that flows down. You can sort of feel the hills being quite sort of hollow. Yeah, and now there's a presence sort of underground, or lack of a presence underground. Yeah, and you can sort of feel the earth feeling wounded, I suppose. Yeah. And then these were sort of done early last year, and they were shown in Elysium Bar when I had a solo show last May. And then Abby had work in the bigger part of the gallery at the same time. And then some painters from Cardiff were in the bigger sort of space as well. Yeah. This is another sort of smaller series of paintings from the show as well. I don't know if you can see like a chimney-headed man, and then meant to be a polluted river and stuff. Ghostly sort of images. That's what I was into at the time. Yeah. And then obviously being in South Wales is still a very industrial sort of landscape. So I was into the sort of wind turbines and the effect that they sort of have on the environment as well, and sort of the character that it gives them and stuff.